All
Okay,
right, everybody,
take it
thanks so
away.
much. All right, thanks everyone for joining us this evening. We haven't had a Rotary District Learning webinar for a while. My name is Rob Wilson. I'm the Chair of Learning and Development for District 53. Glad to be joined today with Manon Mitchell, our DGE, and our past District Governor, Kirk Kowalchuk. And Manon and I were chatting at the last year's Pets and Sets, and I know she's going to get into the genesis of this, but we wanted to this is our first time attempting this, and we wanted to create you ask, we answer, because so many times, as you know, there's all these questions, even though people have various tenures in Rotary, there's many things that come about which you may or may not know, and sometimes don't have the right form to ask questions. So we have this whole list that we actually have not enough time for 1 hour. We're going to do 2 hour series and we'll see what happens from there. So I'm really excited for this and definitely want your feedback after the fact. I know we probably don't Zoom as much as we used to, so please mind your mute button. So please try to stay on mute just so there's no background noise and distraction. I'll be watching as well. So if I mute you, don't take offense, but it's just, again, just to cut out that background noise, which you don't realize is coming through just like Jim right there on the computer. So without further ado, this is being recorded. So as all of our webinars, for those who don't know, the district does have a YouTube page. So you just have to go into YouTube, go into Rotary District 5360, and we'll post this. It takes about a week or so. We'll get Charlene to add it to the district YouTube page. So if you want to refer back to it or let other people in your club know to go find answers, it'll be there forever. So without further ado, I'm going to pass it over to Manon, and we're going to go through this. This should take about an hour, but please, again, based off of the questions and the answers where we go, if we need to take an extra few minutes, please have patience. Our goal is to be done around 8:30 to 8:45. Okay. So, and again, it's cold, it's snowy, there's nothing else to do anyway. So there we go. So Manon, take it away.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Rob. Greatly appreciate your assistance on all of this. So good evening, everybody. It's wonderful to see all your faces. And I notice now that we actually have 2 pages worth of people. Woohoo! Awesome. So as Rob mentioned, I'm Manon Mitchell. I'm your now current DGE, and I'm absolutely thrilled. When I joined Rotary, I joined the Rotary Club of Calgary-Sarcee, and about after 3 years, I moved over to the Rotary Club of Calgary, the downtown club. And last year, when I participated in the president-elect training session, abbreviated PETS, and I co-presented with Rob, and I wanted to find out what the incoming presidents, what was their burning question? What kept them awake at night? And this tonight is the first part of those questions. There's questions all over the map tonight. The next one is more about club health. So you won't hear anything about, well, how do I increase membership in my club? That's not going to be on the list tonight, but it's definitely on the next session. So if you don't hear the question that you're kind of looking for tonight, you will have the opportunity to put your question in the chat, and we'll see how many questions come through. And if this is a way that you feel that you can get the information you need, then we'll let you drive what it is that we need to offer as learning sessions. So, right. Rob, if you can put the participant handout in the chat. So the question
Already there.
It's already there. If you have a look at the chat, you will see this document in there. It's all the questions we're going to address tonight. There are 15 questions, so we're going to go fast and furious. And of course, at the end, we'll collect any questions you may have as a result of participating in tonight's session. So Rob, can you show poll number 1? So we're going to start with testing out the polls here and getting your feedback. It would be wonderful to know how many years you've been in Rotary. And Rob is going to put up the poll any minute now.
Oh, we were testing it. So, here we go. Here we go.
You got it? Poll number 1. There we go. So use your mouse and scroll over to your answer and put your answer in. Isn't this cool? Very cool. So we have quite a distribution. We have people over 20 years who still have questions about Rotary that they want answered. Isn't that interesting? You never end your Rotary learning journey, folks. Okay.
Can we
Thank
get the results displayed?
Do you
Yep.
not see them? Okay, share results. There we
There
go.
we go.
So there we go. We've got 5 people less than a year. Welcome to Rotary, folks, and thanks for coming tonight. 1 to 5 years, 7 people, 4, 6 to 10, 4, 11 to 15, 2, 16 to 20, and 5 over 20 years. Maybe I should hand over the microphone to you guys. Okay, thank you very much for that poll, and thanks for answering. So we're going to have 4 more polls, I think, 4 more in the session this evening, because we want to find out more about you. Okay, so we are going to dive into the questions now. First question that we got was, how do I register an adventure program? What is an adventure program? Adventure programs are for youth, younger kids, teenagers, and it's not an official program of Rotary. This was started by a club, I think in Ottawa, and they created Adventures in Citizenship, and they had kids from all over Canada come to Ottawa and experience our capital and go to some of the museums and then send them back home. So what other adventures programs do we have? Well, guess what? There is a list. Rob, can you put the link in the chat, please? If you grab that link and click on it, you will get to the adventures page. It is run by District 5040, the page that is, not all the programs. And if you want to start an adventures program, go ahead and do it. It's as simple as that. If your club feels that you want to do an adventures in, let's see, adventures in hiking, and have kids from all over Canada come here and go hiking just for the purpose of experiencing hiking, you could do that. You need to present your project to your board, probably, come up with a budget, get enough volunteers, and then contact the folks at District 5040 and have them add that adventures program to the list. Now, I know that the Canmore Club is going to start Adventures in the Mountains, and they are going to run it as a club program project, and they're going to handle all the advertising and all the finances. So that's great. If you want to get district support for this, and by district support, I mean you want the district to handle the financial aspect of this, take in the revenue from the kids registering, and then pay all the bills, that needs to be presented to the board for approval. Because, of course, it impacts the district budget. And you would make that request through the youth chair, who is Brian Carnahan. Kurt, you have your hand up.
Yeah, just one comment that as you said, it's any club can start an adventures program. The one consideration, because it's youth, you do need to adhere to Rotary's and the district's youth protection policies. The safety of our youth are paramount on any of these programs.
Thank you very much, Kurt. Okay, next question. And it actually relates to a poll. How many 5360 clubs still sing O Canada at each meeting? Okay, so here's your chance to answer. Does your club sing O Canada? Yes or no? And I think we have 83 participated, 86.
Not, but then there's a few people.
Okay, that's good. So let's share the results. Ta-da! 73% of the clubs present tonight here, or the people here tonight, sing O Canada at their club meeting. So yeah, it's still a thing, folks. Okay, next question. I really like this one. How do I prepare a budget? So my first response to that is make friends with your treasurer. have a conversation with your treasurer. Ask your treasurer to show you the financials and explain to you what the revenue and expenses are for your club. Now, have a look at your club's financial history. It should be either on Club Runner, you should have minutes with financial statements on Club Runner or somewhere else on paper, in paper files. But have a look at your club's history. Where have you spent money? Where have you received money? What was your fundraising all about? And how much money did you get from that? So familiarize yourself with that first. Next, your club probably has an existing budget already. Make a copy of it and start playing with the numbers. If your club does not have a budget, well, you know what I did? I went to Google and I Googled Rotary Club budget. I found a template. And there's a template that is, I think Rob has put it in the chat already. You can use that as a template as a starting point. It's always good to put in last year's revenue and expenses and put what your expected revenue and expenses is. So you can always do a variance and see, are we kind of on target? Are we going to spend what we spent last year? Now, this is very high level, what I'm telling you right now. But this is the kind of question that we get. People are really need this kind of very basic support, and we don't mind giving it. So use that Rotary budget template if you don't have one. And if you are a president-elect, now is the time to start working on your budget for next year. This is not too early. You start now. You start looking at the goals that your club has and what it's going to take to achieve those goals. And that translates into money, revenue and expenses. So talk to your committee chairs for next year and find out what their revenues, if they have any, or expenses, they probably do, what that's going to be. So start now, work with the template if you don't have one, work with your treasurer, have a look at what you've done in the past, and you'll be just fine. Okay, next question. How do you become...
Manon,
Yes, go ahead, Rob.
Sorry, Manon, there's a question in the chat about clubs that if they do a land acknowledgement or a grace. So I just tried to quickly go in while you were talking to see if I can run these polls quickly. So just bear with me for 1 second. It's just trying to load. All right, there we go. Let's do this quickly. Can you see it? Here we go.
Yep. Yeah, we're getting results. We're at 50% already.
Although I would say that our club doesn't do a grace, but does a
invocation.
Invocation. So I'd have to say no to the way that question is worded.
Fair.
Correct.
So I think the way the question was asked, it probably refers to both, I would assume, first.
They're two different things.
Yeah.
Grace. Yeah, so the question was grace.
Well, I'd have to say it sounds to me like keeping it a little more open so that it doesn't have to be pure grace. It can be a version of like an invocation or something. That's my sense.
Okay, so if you want to publish the poll.
Yeah, it should be. Can you
Okay,
see?
so there we go. So kind of, well, 56-44 for the land acknowledgement and half for grace. Okay, good question. Thanks for taking care of that poll right on the fly. Woo, rock star. Good. Okay. So the next question, how do you become a mentor for the mentorship program? There was no specifying which mentorship program there was. It was purely, I'm reading exactly what the person wrote. So I kind of scratched my head on that one because I think in our district, if I'm not mistaken, we have 3 mentorship programs. One is going to kick off soon, and that's the University of Calgary Rotaract Club mentorship. So mentoring students at university, and you will see an email from Adriana. She's going to send that out asking for mentors for that program. The other two mentorship programs are Kids in School, and to my knowledge, the Stampede Park and the Downtown Club are the only two clubs in the district that do school mentoring of young kids. Does anybody else here have a mentoring program that their club runs that I've not mentioned, that I'm not aware of? No, okay, so there are three and only three. So if you want to mentor through the Rotary Club of Stampede Park, you can certainly go to their website and find a link there. And I think you have to do the youth protection course for that. You need to be certified as okay to work with youth. And same thing with our club, Calgary Downtown Club. If you go to our website, there's, I think it's under What We Do, Stay in School program. And we are always looking for mentors. We always have a waiting list of kids that need a mentor. So if you go to the specific clubs, you'll find information there, and watch for Adriana's email about the mentoring of University of Calgary students. And you know what? I don't think distance would be a problem either, because you could do it over Zoom. So it doesn't matter where you are in our province, or Saskatchewan for that matter. Okay, next question. How do I start a Rotary fellowship? What is a fellowship? Rotary has a fantastic page of fellowship information. Fellowships are basically gatherings of Rotarians, either electronically or in person, of people who have a common interest. So, for example, I am a member of the ISFR, the International Ski Fellowship of Rotarians. They organize ski trips. We go to the ski trip, we join Rotarians, and we ski for a whole week together. That's how you get to know Rotary members from around the world. I used to belong to the Fellowship of Musicians, and I got to sing in the World Choir in the Toronto Convention, which was kind of cool. So have we all answered? We're nearly getting there. So some of you, 6 of you are in fellowships. That's great. Okay.
I'm going to end the poll now.
Yep, sure. And the poll, that'd be wonderful.
And while we're waiting for that, there's over 100 different fellowships, from crocheting, knitting, wine lovers, beer drinkers, RVers, motorcyclists, marathon runners, and the list keeps on going.
Yeah.
I joined the Whiskey Fellowship when I was
I was
in
just going to
Singapore.
say there's a whiskey fellowship. So all fellowships need to adhere to Rotary's guidelines on fellowships, and they're getting they are making it more equitable for everybody, because sometimes a fellowship in a particular country can be a little slanted to what happens in that country, but you have to have formal bylaws. You have to, there's lots of stuff you need to do. So if you want to join a fellowship or are interested in meeting Rotarians on a more social basis, have a look at the page on the Rotary website, and the link is super long. It's in the chat, I think. Yes, Rob?
Yeah, as we speak, working on it.
Yeah, perfect.
Google Rotary
is.
Fellowships.
Yeah, just Google Rotary Fellowships and you'll find the page on fellowships. Let me tell you, it is the coolest thing. And from our personal experience, we our first fellowship event with the skiers was right here in Banff, right after COVID. And we just took a staycation because I don't think we could, no, we could go, but we were a little leery about going out of country. So we joined the ski fellowship right here in our own backyard. We got sold on it, and the next trip we took was to Japan. Well, that was 2 years ago. This spring, Kurt and I are heading to Japan again, and guess what? We're meeting up with our Rotary friends there. So this is a perfect way to make friends around the world. Let me tell you, it is brilliant. Okay, I'm now going to introduce past District Governor Kurt Kowalchuk, who is going to take us through the next 5 or 6 questions. Kurt, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Minnow. And I hope it's only 5 because that's all the answers I have. Well, I've been asked to answer 5 questions, and I have to say that it can be a challenging answering one-line questions without context or further explanations. But here we go. So we're going to start with a poll. Actually, I'm going to start with, well, let's do the poll since it's up here. I know how to log into the district website to access district resources, yes or no? I'm curious how many people go into the district club runner website.
Okay, I'm gonna end it and share the results.
Sure, please.
Yeah.
Okay, 71% do and 29 don't. Okay. So the actual question that I got asked was, are volunteers on projects outside the district covered by insurance? Well, coming back to, well, it's unclear what type of insurance coverage the question is referring to or what is meant by outside the district. What I'm going to do is to show you where you can find the answers yourself, and I'm going to talk a bit about the insurance we do have in place. What I'm going to do is I'm going to share my screen. And I'm going to go to our Rotary District website, which is rotary5360.ca. And I'm going to log in. And hold on, I'm going back one page. Oh, right. Yes. So your login to the Club Runner site, District Club Runner site, is the same as your login to your club's Club Runner site. The same username and the same password, because the two are linked totally together. And I'm going to log in. And where I'm going to take you to, for those especially who are not that familiar with it, is view district documents. Our district has quite a few documents that are of interest to members in our district. And in these documents, one of the folders is, you guessed it, insurance. And if you want to get a summary of what our insurance is, here we go. Really, it boils down to a lot of our insurance is around liability. So it is not medical insurance. It is not travel insurance. Again, not sure what the question was asking. So travel insurance, medical insurance, nothing to do with the insurance we have. It's about liability. One of the big ones, if you're holding an event and somebody gets injured at the event and wants to sue you, that's liability. That's where the insurance coverage would kick in. Another one is if you have employees, because some clubs do, our district does, there's insurance coverage for that, for the liability around that. There's abuse coverage regarding abuse of youth, including youth, because it also could be any other vulnerable group, and directors and officers liability. This relates to decisions your board makes. and the potential again of being sued by somebody. That really is what our insurance really focuses on. There's a bunch more if, buts, and maybes here. Some of the key ones, there's no exclusion on liquor liability. So you do not need a special rider if you're serving liquor. And RibFest, the same thing. The youth camps are included with most sporting events. And as long as your event is under 1,000 attendees, you do not need a separate coverage or a separate rider. If it's more than 1,000 attendees at your event, then you would need a special rider. And within our district, well, it is. And the policy covers Canadian territory only. So outside of our district, however, not international, would be covered. And that is a really quick summary of our insurance coverage. Are there any questions? Quick questions. A lot of silence. That's good.
You're good to go.
Okay, thank you. So where you can find out more, first of all, go to the district website, look for yourself. There's more information. There were several other documents about insurance. The other person to talk to, if you're still uncertain, is Charlene at our district office. And like I said, the real focus is on liability. It is not medical, it's not travel. And that's it. Okay, next question on my list. How can I reduce the number of board meetings? Well, I think that's easy. There's no RI or district rule that says you have to have one board meeting every month or every 2 months or every 6 weeks. It is totally up to your club. So how do you reduce the number? You get your club, your board to decide to change the number. It really is that simple. Now, one of the things, and I'm going to sidetrack slightly and then come back to it, is one of the reasons you may be having so many board meetings is that you're not having effective board meetings. There may be the real problem. Now, this is covered in more detail. It has the last few years in Pets and Sets, talking about how you run an effective board meeting. Typically, most clubs, it's the president that chairs the meeting. One of the big pointers I can give to anyone is do not have all your chairs of the committees read their 2-page report out loud at the meeting. That is a total waste of time. What you need to do is have a place to store reports, Club Runner, Google Drive, Dropbox, OneDrive, the list keeps on going, doesn't matter. A common place that a week or so before your board meeting, everybody puts their reports in there. The expectation is your board members, all the board members read the reports. So you don't have to have them read to you. Reading them, total waste of time. That way you can focus on what's important. It's motions that have come out of the reports, because there would often motions coming out of the reports. And it's things that really do need to discuss, like issues that are happening and how can we deal with them? What are we doing in the future? Where are we going? I mean, that's what your board should really be focused on. Now, how do you actually change them? It sort of depends. If it's just historical practice, just have a vote at your board. Simple. It may be in your club bylaws. It says how often your board has to meet. Look at your club bylaws. And how do you change your bylaws if they are in there? Well, I'm actually going to talk about that in the next section. A breather while I go to the next section. Any questions? Quick ones. Excellent. Because the next question just happens to be, how do I revise my club bylaws to be more up to date? How's that? Perfect. Well, start with, once again, it's a club decision to change your bylaws. Usually what's done, the board, small club, the whole club, creates a committee, usually 2 or 3 interested Rotarians, to help create a draft of the amended bylaws. You don't want a committee of 20. That's never going to come up with it, I think. A few that are interested. Now, where can you find some great ideas? Well, Rotary International has a suggested/recommended set of bylaws for both Rotaract and Rotary clubs, and that would be a great starting point. Where do you find those? Well, there is a giant long URL to the website. Do what I always do. I Google Rotary Club bylaws. Nice and simple. The very first link that popped up for me when I just tried it earlier today was a link to Rotary International's governance documents page. When you go there, you'll see things like Rotary International Constitution, their bylaws, Rotary's Manual of Procedure, Code of Policies, and what you're looking for, a link to the recommended bylaws for both Rotaractors and Rotary clubs. Another source of ideas and information is look at other club bylaws. Any idea where you can find that? A bunch of them anyway, not everyone, but a bunch of them. On the district website, under that document section that I showed you, there's, I think it's club information, and then under there's club bylaws for about 20, 25 of the clubs in our district. There's some more places to get some ideas. Oh, having gone through this a couple times myself, being on committees doing it, my advice, keep your bylaws at a high level. Focus on how your board and executive are elected and how your board and club will make decisions. If you go into way too much detail on how you operate, nitty-gritty that our club meets at 9 o'clock and we have breakfast and we sing "O Canada," and that doesn't belong in your bylaws. Because if you want to change any of those, guess what? You have to change your bylaws. Keep it high level. Figure out how you make decisions. Then, how do you formally change them? Typically, your current bylaws will have the rules on how your club what your club has to do to change the bylaws. Pretty typically, it's a board decision to start with, then it goes to the club for a club vote. Pretty typically, something like bylaws, it's more than a 50% majority. Pretty typically, it's 2/3 or 75% majority to change your bylaws. Then next step, it depends how your club is registered with the province and federally. Because you may have to, at minimum, if you're registered as a nonprofit in Alberta, is send your updated bylaws to corporate registries, I believe is where it goes. On the other hand, if you're a registered charity in Canada, you actually need CRA's approval of your updated bylaws before they become in effect. So depends on your legal status, your next steps. Once again, any questions? All quiet again. Well, this one's a one-liner, and it's easy to say in one breath. What is the Rotary Foundation all about? The answer, though, is way more than one breath. Very simply put, the Rotary Foundation is the financial engine that powers much of the good work that we do in the world. Big stuff like the move to eradicate polio, promoting peace in the world. And of course, it also provides funding for district and global grants that many of the clubs in our district apply for and that are used to fund projects that they are passionate about. I could talk all day about the foundation. However, I'd suggest the best way to learn the foundation is by going to this terrific asset we have, and it's called the Rotary Learning Center. Rob, next poll, please. How many of you have ever signed on to My Rotary? And how many of you have completed at least one course in the Learning Center?
I love this question, Kurt.
I knew you might, Rob. It was just for you.
Results are coming in fast and furious, and there's some great news.
It's 100% for both, right?
Not quite, but we're doing
Aw.
good. We're at 89% participation right now.
We're open for just 10 more seconds. If there's any stragglers that want to chime in.
Yeah, seems like it's fixed. Go ahead and close.
Oh, that is good news. So, great news. I see that vast majority of you know how to sign into My Rotary, and a goodly number of you have done a Learning Center course. Well, guess what? I'm going to share my screen again. And this time, we are going to go to Rotary International website, rotary.org. Nice and simple. And we have the link to My Rotary. And if you've never used it, you click the register button, nice and simple, and you put in your name and your email. These need to match the first and last name and your email that you have in your club runner. So whatever name and email is associated with you in Club Runner, that's what has to be put here. You'll get sent a link to reset your password. Rotary International's website does not share things like user IDs and passwords with Club Runner, which is both our district and club uses. It's on its own platform. So you will have a different user ID. Actually, your email is your user ID, and you will have a different password. I'm going to go back, and I am going to sign in. Tum-ta-dum-tum. Sometimes it's quick, sometimes it's not so quick. So the Learning Center. Well, let's start with knowledge and resources. And we go to the Learning Center. Pretty easy to find.
There's also a box below that screen. If you scroll down, it says Learning Center. You can just click on it.
Okay, fair enough. We all have our habits of how we get many of these things you can get to in several different ways. So what we will come up to is a course catalog by topic. And huge number of topics. You want to know more about Rotary in general. Few courses about Rotary. It's a huge amount of information. Club leadership courses, membership, general courses, professional development, and the Rotary Foundation courses. And when we go into the Rotary Foundation courses, one of the things you'll see, and this is the same in all of the course catalogs, is that you will see individual courses and you will see programs such as Club Rotary Foundation Committee Basics that has 10 courses on it. And that's the one I'm going to go to the learning plan. And you'll see that there's District Rotary Foundation Committee intermediate. There's, again, you can look on your own, Rotary Foundation Basic, so that's a singular course. Many of these individual courses are within these programs. And just to give you an idea of the Foundation Committee Basics, every one of these programs starts with how to use the Learning Center, and then it goes through a whole bunch of information about the foundation. Perfect way to learn more about the foundation or any other areas in Rotary. So that's the spiel on that, on the Learning Center, and in particular around how do you learn more about the foundation. Any questions? Perfect. That was easy. Which comes to my last question. How do I get the district to participate in the Rotaract roadmap? Well, I struggled with this one a little bit because I'm not aware of a Rotaract roadmap as such. I did Google it and figuring maybe I was missing something. I cannot find anything in Rotary International or in our district called a Rotaract roadmap. Having said that, I'm going to talk a little bit about the elevation of Rotaract, because that's obviously what it refers to. Or that's, in my belief, what it obviously refers to. So I'm not sure how many of you are aware, and we don't have a poll for this, but just do a visual raise of your hand of the elevation of Rotaract. How many of you are aware of that? A few of you are, some of you aren't. Well, quite a few of you are. I see more hands. This started back in 2019 when the Rotary Council of Legislation, which I'm not going to go into, amended the constitutional documents of Rotary International to include Rotaract clubs as a membership type of Rotary International. Before 2019, they were considered a Rotary program, like Interact is a Rotary program. Rotaract was on the same level. It was not recognized as a club type. Doesn't mean they're Rotarians or a Rotary club. The Rotaract is a club type. So after that, Rotary created an Elevate Rotaract task force made up of Rotaractors, Rotarians, and their goal was update policies to better affect this change in status. And a lot of it was to learn from Rotaractors what they wanted from their membership and to give them the opportunity to shape these important policy decisions. Well, things are changing, and it's a process. It's not it happens right now. So it is a process, and it's constantly changing. Curiously enough, Rotary is still considered a Rotary program in some ways, and in other ways, it's now considered a club type. For instance, in the Rotary policies document, which would have been back in the RI governance documents, that page I referred to before, where you could get information about club bylaws, it's moved from the section on programs to the section on clubs. So a subtle change, but it's moved position. And within those policies, there's quite a few policies that have changed, and I'm going to talk about a couple of them. The flip, though, is it's still considering it a little bit like a program, is that districts are recommended to have a Rotaract representative as the liaison between the district and Rotaract clubs. So unlike Rotary clubs, where the assistant governor is the primary liaison between the district and the clubs. And I have to say, in our district, AGs also are the liaison with Rotaract clubs in the district. That's our district's choice. And however, RI still recommends a Rotaract representative being that liaison, which we do have as well. And at the district level, we actually do budget some financial support for Rotaract, just as we did when it was a program. Well, what else has changed? Well, in some ways, our districts are being a bit ahead of the curve on it. We've had Rotaract members sitting on our district board of directors for a number of years now. Before Rotary policy, which is change in the policy, says that you can have them. We've had them for a number of years before that official policy changed. And we actually, coming back to bylaw change, has changed our bylaws to formalize it. Rotaractors have also been invited and welcomed onto district committees and to be part of the decision-making process. An example that's happening right now is that we changed our terms of reference for our district governor nominee selection committee to invite members at large to be part of that committee. We invited Rotaractors as well as Rotarians to join that committee, and there is a Rotaractor on the committee that will help select a future district governor. So again, they are having a say within our district and the direction our district goes. Some other policy bylaw changes at the Rotary level. Rotaract clubs no longer need a Rotary club as a sponsor. They can be totally independent, just like a Rotary club. And Rotaract clubs can now sponsor new Rotaract clubs. Another change, Rotaract used to have an age limit of 30 years old. That cap is being taken away. Rotaractors can now be of any age. Those are some of the highlights. That I have to say. Any questions? I must be answering these very well.
Margie has one question. Go ahead, Margie. Just unmute yourself. Go ahead.
I have, thank you. Thanks very much. So if there's no age limit anymore and they are a Rotaract is a Rotary club, how do they differentiate themselves from a Rotary club?
That is a very good question, Margie. And I'm glad you asked it. Actually, I'm not. I'm just kidding. So typically, Rotaract clubs are a much younger age demographic than Rotary clubs. So even though the age limit has been lifted, there's a reality. In our district, 2 out of our 3 Rotaract clubs are institute, post-secondary institute based, which means you have to be a student or presumably a faculty member at that institute to join the club. The public can't just come in and join. You have to be going to the institute. So that almost inherently limits the age to under 30 or pretty close to slightly over 30 possibly, but still inherently caps the age. Yeah, other than that, there's not much. Typically, again, there's no rules, but typically Rotaract clubs are a lot more informal. Not that a Rotary club can't be more informal. But the differentiation is blurred. I agree with you, Margie. There is definitely a blur there.
Hey, thank you very much, Kurt.
Oh, I do know one different. So there are some actual differentiations. And it's not necessarily at the club level, but by current RI bylaws, because the district governor is actually a Rotary International position, not a district position. which is another discussion. But you have to be a Rotarian to become district governor. So there are some positions in Rotary that are not open to Rotaractors. Doesn't affect the operation of a club, but it does. There are some limitations.
Okay, thank you very much, Kurt. That was awesome. Now, I'm looking at the time, it's 8:23. I have 5 more questions. So 4 of those are all about grants. So I think what I will do is start with one that is not about grants. And then I'll move into grants so that you get the different one first. And then if you're interested in grants, you can hang, you can hang on to the rest of the grant. That would be awesome. But if you have to go, then you have to go. So the last question, which I'm now elevating to now, is this was cool. How can I confidently present to my board as a young, newer member and lead? That was a loaded question. It means that this young person who's now in a position of leadership wants to have the confidence of their club. So the first thing I recommend is, like, be clear about who you want to be. You want to be a leader, be a leader. Think as a leader, make it your goal. It might be difficult to start off with, but you need to act part right away. Be confident. Step up to a leadership position in your club and demonstrate how great you are. And every club, I am willing to guarantee, I should have done a poll on this. How many clubs always ask for people to step up to volunteer and have difficulty finding people to step up to volunteer? Raise your hand if that's the situation in your club.
Might be 100%.
Practically every club is like that. So the opportunities are there. Jump at them. Get a mentor. Find a past president of your club or a past president of a previous club, or reach out to your assistant governor because they've got lots of experience. They can help you with that. Rotary believes in supporting its leaders. So we just had a look at the Learning Center Kurt showed you. Here's some really interesting courses that if you don't know they're there, you might want to check these out. Building Consensus, a course on collaboration, a course on communication skills, a course on how to develop a speech or deliver a speech, or creating an inspirational speech. There's a course on the essentials of understanding conflict. There's interpersonal communication and networking, and 4 courses on leadership skills and fundamentals and how to build a team. It's all there right at your fingertips. So if you're a young leader, go for it. We need more of your nice, great, enthusiastic, fresh ideas. And be like water, just flow. Ignore the big pillars that are in your way. Make it happen. So that was the last question. Okay, now I just have to figure out where I am. Okay, the next question, how do we apply for grants? Still in this district, we have people who want information on how to apply for grants. Everything you need to know about grants and applying for them is where? Yes, of course, on our district website. But here's the big but. There are 4 qualifications that your club needs to meet before you can apply for any grant at the district level. First one, you need to have at least 1 representative from your club attend the grants webinar. Grants webinar just happened last month. If there was nobody from your club that attended that, contact the foundation chair. There is a course online that you can take about grants, so they may approve that. Next thing is your president-elect must attend the president-elect learning session. Must. If your president isn't there, your president has now taken your club out of the running for getting grants. Third, your club must have a minimum of a $50, I think it's US, Kurt, Give me a thumbs up. It's US, $50 US donation to the annual fund of the Rotary Foundation per capita, right? So on average, doesn't mean everybody has to pay. Some can pay more, some can pay less, but on average, $50 US to the annual fund. And finally, your club has to sign a memorandum of understanding, or MOU, with the district. All of those things need to be there for your club to apply for grants. And I think Rob put those qualification items in the chat right now. Thanks, Rob. Everything you need to know or have access to apply for grants is on the district's grants subcommittee page on the district website. So when you go to our district website, you go to the service menu, and at the very bottom of the service menu, you'll find the grants menu, and what'll pop out from that is another submenu. You choose district grants subcommittee. Everything you need to know about grants is there. Okay, next question. What are the grants used for, and how would we go about applying? Okay, similar to the first one, but what do people use grants for? Well, if you look at the grants committee page, you'll find that there are different types of grants, and they all have different funding models. Some of them are fully funded, like the Peace Scholarship, but some of them are partially funded, like global grants. I would show you this, but for sake of time, I am going to continue with the next question, and I will let you explore the district grants subcommittee page on the website. You can all have a look in there. If you have any questions, they have a link to support or help, and you can just click on that and type your question. They'll get back to you. Okay. Next question. What is the best systematized approach to grant paperwork applications, like the numbers game quadrant tool? At the PETS session, we had the president-elects do a little game to demonstrate or be a metaphor for when you get instructions, life is way easier. So this is what this person is asking for. Can you give us instructions on that? So I created a project roadmap, which is like a 200,000 foot view on projects, but it basically has, and I think Rob is going to put that in the chat, so you can just click on it, download it. But it's basically, what do you need to do in order to get a project done? So everything from get yourself organized to start off with, to who are you going to partner with? Why are you doing this? What are you actually going to do? How much is it going to cost? Where are you going to get the money from? When is it going to happen? And what the heck was accomplished at the end of all of this? So this is kind of like project management 101, but the very super high level, things that you're going to have to talk about, discuss, and decide on. So that is my best quick guidance on a project roadmap for you. Okay, I think I might have last question. Matching grant, this was the question. I'm reading verbatim what the person wrote. Matching grants versus one-off full funding, question mark? Can you apply for grants, same project again and again? So I'm looking at this going, okay, what does a person want? So I'm going to address the first quasi question. Some grants or some projects, some grants are fully funded. I mentioned the Peace Scholarship, Peace Fellowship, and the Global Scholarship grants. Those are fully funded by our district. Your club does not have to put any money into that at all, and they're fully funded. Club projects, on the other hand, get partial funding from the district. We call these district project grants. A district project grant is something your club wants to do and wants to get some funding for it. The funding is a 3-to-1 match. So if your club puts in $1,000, the district will put in 3 times that amount. The maximum you can ask for is $7,500. Your club would have to put in $2,500 for that. You can do that project right in your own backyard, or you can use it for an international project. And the budget doesn't have to be the maximum of that. The budget can be way bigger, and that grant could help support the project, and you could get funding elsewhere. And then global grants have a completely different matching system. And for that, I'm not going to repeat what was in the grants webinar. You can watch the recording, which again, you can find on the district website under the service grants, grant subcommittee website. All the recordings are there. All the PowerPoint presentations are there. You can get all the facts and figures that you would ever want. It's all there right at your fingertips. Now, the second question was, can you apply for grants for the same project over and over again? The answer is kind of like, yes, of course, apply again and again. Usually, though, what I found in my personal experience is that the project shifts a little bit. So my education projects in Cambodia, I'm now working on the 4th education project, global grant. But we're changing a couple of the things. We're changing the teachers. We're changing the schools. You take a water project, for example. Kurt has done many water projects in Cambodia. They're not always exactly the same because they're at a different school or a different community, but you're still working with the same partner. So yes, you can go back to the well and get more money for the next project. Chances are it'll probably be slightly different because, of course, if you're not shifting your project every time you do the same one, I wonder how perfect that project is. There's always room for improvement. The costs might be different because time has gone by. So bottom line is, of course, yes, call it, if you think you're going to be doing this repeatedly, call it the first one, right? So Water Project 1 in Belize. In my Cambodia literacy project, I'm now on number 4. So it's called Clip 4. So yeah, go ahead and do that. Now, that is all the questions for this particular session. I think we have one more poll. We need to know if this kind of learning session works for you guys. So Rob, if you could bring up the last poll, that would be awesome. Are you there? Okay, then I will bring up the poll myself.
Rob seems to have disappeared.
Okay, I am going to find the polls. Okay, we're going to do this just by a show of hands. So, did you learn at least one new thing tonight? Raise your hand.
Yeah.
Okay, good, excellent. Next question. Was this a valuable use of your time? Okay, good. And will you be submitting a question for future sessions like this? Yes? Okay. The time to put your questions, oh, look at all those big thumbs up. I love it. The time to put your question in the chat is now. So please put your question in the chat. We will capture the chat and we'll just keep this as a running list of things. We'll ask the same thing at the next session. And the next session has pretty much is pretty much under one big theme: club health, club engagement. So if you want to hear some expert advice on that, come to the, and I think we might even have a little bit more discussion on that one because we need to share ideas of what we're doing that's working well. The last 2 months have been whirlwind for me in terms of Rotary learning on my journey of district governor nominee and now district governor-elect. And when I attend meetings and hear what is happening in other districts, I am writing down these ideas because people are doing some amazing things that work. And we have clubs in our district that are doing amazing things that work. So it'd be great to hear what everybody is doing. Okay, date and time for the next session. It is December. I'm just consulting my calendar here. District Learning Webinar. I think this is it. Yep. It is December 4th, 7:30. It is, of course, on the district website in the event calendar. Have a look there, register, and we'll see you on the flip side. Are there any questions right now that you think would require a short answer? Yes, Margie.
Not a question, but a request. I wonder next time if everybody could put their club name next to their name so that we can, if we want to follow up with that person after the session.
Perfect. We will do that.
Thank you.
Awesome. Great idea. Okay. So on behalf of Rob, who disappeared, and Kurt and myself, thank you very much for attending this evening. We saw it was valuable information, valuable time, so we'll continue doing it. And please put your questions or email me your questions. You know how to find me? I'm the only Manon in the district. And if you use Club Runner on your phone and you search for Manon, you will find me. Very easy to find. Okay, good. So thanks, everybody. Have a wonderful rest of your evening. Stay warm, stay safe. We'll see you again soon. Bye-bye. There you are. Did you disappear?
Boy, I just got kicked out of. Yeah, like and my Zoom just closed down. You were answering the question and my Zoom just closed down. I was like,
Oh
oh.
my gosh. Yeah, well, I just asked the question.
So did it kick everybody out or just me?
No, just you. So I was ready for the last poll and it's like, I don't see you. Yeah, that was weird.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Weird. Okay. So did you, yeah, I don't know why. I don't know. I mean, Wi-Fi shouldn't matter. I mean, I'm hardwired anyways. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was listening to you answer the question about the grants and all of a sudden it just closed down. I was like, oh no, like I thought maybe it's, well, I'm like, well, it's not going to shut down for everybody because I didn't start the meeting. So I figured, and it took like 2 minutes to like log back into Zoom. Like I couldn't even log back into Zoom. It was weird. So it was okay, whatever. So it worked out well. You finished?
Yeah. So I think for the next one, I think an hour and a half, if we schedule for that. Then if we finish early, we've given people time.
So you did the poll? I saw the polls. Like, did you find it useful? Like, what was the answer?
Oh, the poll for
the last poll? Did you do the last poll?
We just did it with a show of hands.
Okay.
Yeah. So I couldn't find it in the, because I know it's over here. Polls and quizzes disappeared.
Unless you have to be host.
Well, it should still be there. It's on the far right hand side by breakout rooms.
Oh, see, hang on a minute. Close the chat. Polls and quizzes. Oh, I had the chat open and it was covering polls and quizzes.
Okay.
Yeah.
But people liked it though.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sorry about that. Yeah, like it was okay. Weird. Like it just closed. I'm just listening to it and all of a sudden it just closed. I was like,
I guess we need to stop the recording, eh?